Okay, so hey, Kim, we are live on Facebook, and wow, what a privilege to have you with me, and what a privilege to talk about Charity Seeds. I have been such a fan of yours for so many years, all the remarkable work you do around the world. So why don't you just take it away and tell us about Charity Seeds, and then we can take a look at some of the pictures, and off we go.
Okay, thank you, Bob, giving me this opportunity to talk. It's obviously my favorite subject. And you have been there supporting me for many years. And I want to say this to everybody right now. I mean, not only monetarily, but you've been there when I needed direction and help. Thanks so much, Bob. I really appreciate it. And so I will tell a story, how this was founded and how it was launched also. It's kind of a fun story. I took a trip to Africa, to Kenya, and it was a new experience for me. I've never seen anything like Africa. And I went to a city called Kisumu. It's the second largest city in Kenya. And it's up by Lake Victoria, the second largest lake in the world, I believe. And I wanted to see some hippos and some crocodiles. So I took a boat out and hired the guy to do it, paid him 50 bucks. I'm leaving the dock. As I'm leaving the dock, I see some kids over on the shore, just swimming and diving off of branches from large trees. Some boys, some street boys, and I really got excited about seeing them. So I told the guy, "Look, I'll see the crocodiles some other time." And so I started to. I told him, I asked him to just take me back, and I want to see the street boys. So he took me back to the dock. I got out, and I went and bought about 10 loaves of bread and started walking towards the street boys, and they all started coming out of the water towards me, and I gave them the 10 loaves of bread. Now these guys are all butt naked, and they were laughing, and they're looking at me, who's this guy? And so I started to take a picture with my camera, a video, and immediately they're covering themselves up with bread. So it was an incredible story. I just really fell in love with the street boys. They lived a life that was exciting. They were just playing and swimming, and they had to steal food and to survive. It's amazing what these boys were doing to survive. So I wanted to get them know them more, and I went into the town of Kisumu, and I'm seeing hundreds, if not thousands, of street boys running the streets of Kisumu. And I was headed towards my hotel. It's kind of funny. I had some bananas in my hand. I had some bananas in my right hand, and I'm heading to my hotel. And I get hit on the side, my left side, really hard. And it bumped me. So I turned, and sure enough, this street boy stole my bananas. And he's running away from me, and he gets about 10 feet from me. He turns around, and he kind of bows down, and he goes, "Chuck Norris." He thinks I'm Chuck Norris. So, again, I'm just falling in love with these street boys. They're so wild. They're like cowboys, and they're running the streets, and they're jumping on trucks, and they're playing games. And so I wanted to learn more. And so I started following the street boys all over Kisumu. I got to know a few of them, and they told me where they sleep, where they hang out. And this kind of story that I was attracted to, these little cowboys, starting to darken a little bit. And I saw the other side of their life. And that was a horrible, dark side. I went to the park where they all hung around, and there were hundreds of street boys in the park. And what they were doing there was sniffing glue. They'd go and sniff shoe glue, steal it from the cobblers, and go there and sniff the glue. And their eyes would turn black and dark red. It was a hard thing to see. These street boys were so alive. And then I even went further. I'm going to share a picture here. Bob, help me with this. I want to share a picture. So this picture right here is the street boys that I saw right by the lake, and you can see that I'm giving them the bread. Can you see that picture, Bob?
Yep, I can.
Okay, beautiful. These are the street boys. They're just having a blast swimming in Lake Victoria right behind him. By the way, there's crocodiles all over the place on the shores of this lake. And these boys are just having a blast, but you can see the bread, and that was just one picture. And then I went and I traveled to where they lived. And this is where it got interesting. going to show you this picture because they took me to where they slept and lived, and it was a massive junkyard, just a pile of garbage. And they went there to, I'm going to see if I can pull this picture up. This pile of junk and garbage is where they live and sleep. And what they do is they just find, you can see his hands are covered. They just scrape the food out of the cans and they eat the food from the cans. And they live here. I met one man, I don't have the picture handy right now, but he lived in a cardboard box for 35 years and he was blind. So you can see this guy is pretty well built, and I'm up at the top of this 100-foot pile of garbage visiting these street boys that are all coming to me. And I'm thinking, this guy could bury me in the garbage and take my sandals and nobody know it. It was a pretty amazing experience. So I started to really love these boys, and I didn't know what to do. So I followed them and learned about them, and they were just beautiful kids. And that's where basically the idea of Charity Seeds was launched, from this experience. How could I help these boys? How could I create a program that was totally sustainable and help these boys, not just giving them a few dollars to go buy food, because that's truly not sustainable. We all know the story. It's better to, teach them to fish rather than give them the fish. And so that's where Charity Seeds was launched, from this experience with the street boys. And now I'm going to show you some gardens. So we started to bring gardens. That was my idea, to bring organic gardens to these kids in need. And so the locations we started to go to were schools. I thought that was an obviously a good place to go to the schools, where these kids would have an opportunity to grow their own organic food at the schools. See, I think I have a photo of that. Yeah, this was the first school we started, and there were hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of children, and we're starting to put gardens in the schools. And this picture that I pulled up, actually, was by accident, is another program that we launched in Guatemala. And this is an orphanage with 33 kids. And we started this only about 2 weeks ago. And 33 boys, only 9 of them and a few women, and the nuns are putting in the gardens. In the first day, Bob, they put in 5 double dug, very deep dug beds. And they did it with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of happiness. In that same day, we put in fertilizer, and we built the compost pile to keep adding to gardens. So that's in the first day. After 3 weeks, the garden is completely planted, and we're composting, and we're ready to start building a greenhouse for them now. So this program has now gone to schools in Africa and schools in Guatemala and orphanages. So now we have, a student body that's it's accountable. We can keep track of what the lessons are. And so we're creating schools in the orphanages for these young boys and girls. They're learning agroecology now. And the nuns, you can see the nun in the background is actually digging. They come out of the day and their habits are all dirty and muddy, and they're loving it. They're saying to me, they're sending messages back. Oh, it's amazing. We got 7 nuns in the gardens helping. And they're sending messages back to me through my trainer, Mario Moses Lopez from Guatemala. He's a Mayan there. And he's sending messages back to me saying the nuns are telling him, this is the first project in Guatemala that these children have ever seen that has been helping them more than anything they've ever seen, because they're getting a vocation. They're learning how to grow their own organic food and become, the goal for Charity Seeds is to become food independent. Now, going back to the story of the street boys, we did go to an orphanage for street boys. We started it up, and there were 100 boys there. And we created the organic program there, the gardens. And in 1 year, those street boys that I pointed out to you, 100 boys have grown enough gardens to feed themselves at the orphanage, and they are totally food independent. So that's the story. That's the story we want to continue to tell. We want to continue to go to orphanage and schools and teach the children. And then the outreach program comes out from here, Bob. This is the important part, because if we're just going there and stopping there, there's no sustainability to it. There's no outreach to it.
Right.
It doesn't keep going. So teaching them how to become agroecologists and studying organic farming, we're teaching them that vocation. We're also starting to build manuals and books, and we're teaching them and going to certify a few of them in agroecology. And so these children will be certified, and they will continue to go to the orphanages. And Charity Seeds will hopefully be able to continue to support them as teachers in the orphanages. So that's basically the program. And we also went to Columbia. We got orphanages in Columbia going with Father Mejia, Father Gabriel.
Father Gabriel Mejia, right?
Yes. We put in 3 orphanages there. The gardens are beautiful. And this is our goal, just keep going to the orphanages. Now, this one orphanage that you got a picture up there is, these are the boys and girls building a compost pile. It's so unbelievable, that they're learning this stuff, and they're loving it. They are totally enthusiastic. They come out. We were only going to teach like 2-3 days a week, but they're asking us, they want more gardens. They want to learn everything. They're asking for the greenhouse already. And by the way, we did a fundraiser 2 weeks ago, and we got the money for the greenhouse. So we'll be putting that in as soon as our trainer is ready. So the program with the outreach program is very sustainable. It can keep growing and keep going. And with support from what I'm getting on social media and people like you, Bob, this is what you've been doing right here. And my heart goes out to you. Thank you.
Well, buddy, I'll tell you what, there's no money that I spend that's any more precious to me than the check that goes to Charity Seeds every month. So let's talk for a moment. Maybe we can stop share and then we can chat. People can see us here. I'll just stop share here. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So, wow, that's so exciting. And the Street Boys, I forgot you had told me about that. That is so amazing. Tell us about the double digging, because, we have had the illusion, well, this is my opinion, the illusion fostered years ago, the Green Revolution, where you're going to come and bring all these chemical fertilizers and do all these modern methods and everything, and you're going to grow food and all that. Well, that did a lot of good from that standpoint, but it isn't particularly sustainable because of the input costs. What I understand from you is that you became a student of John Jevons, who advocates for the double digging process, which I did based on you. We have the trenches and the straws. Remember the great potato race at 500 probably didn't. One of them was a double dug trench, and those potatoes are just doing great. So tell us about the double digging and why it's so significant, how you can induce fertility with that and compost that makes that you don't have to have additional inputs.
This is probably this is more into the methodology of what Charity Seeds does. And John Jevons has done those 9 points, and double digging is one of them. And when we teach the children, we start with a very simple process, a methodology where it's hard as a rock. It's just solid. And they're thinking, we can't grow anything in this. So we teach them, okay, we give them the simplest tool. It's just a grub hoe. Bob, this is the amazing part. All they need to do this and build food independence for themselves is a simple hoe and maybe what's called an A-frame, so they can, do the contours and stuff. And that's, you don't need a laser, you don't need a tractor, you don't need the outside inputs, you don't need genetically modified seeds. All they need is that grub hoe and knowledge. And this is where Moses is so valuable. We only use people from their region. So we're not going to bring in, you know, an old American to go down and teach them. We're only using people from that region. And Moses, like I said, is a Mayan himself, and he's from that area. So he knows the water, he knows the cycles, he knows the soils and stuff, and he teaches those boys and girls in 1 square meter. And then he says, okay, we're going to learn double digging. And they don't know what it is, but he teaches them how to dig down about, I'd say about 12 to 14 inches, rather than just scraping the surface of the dirt. And when you don't dig down that deep, if you have very hard dirt, or if you dug with a tractor or something, those roots go down and then they hit that hard surface and they spread out. They go sideways. And so now you've interfered, they're stealing the nutrients, they're stealing the water. You can't do real tight companion planting. And that's what the double digging is for. When these boys are done with their little square meter, after they're done, they can reach down almost 2 feet with their little bare hands and dig up the soil from the bottom. It's so beautiful to see. And then we teach them, this is why we do the double digging. It increases the amount of food you can grow in that square meter by about 70%. And because it's so deep and the water's, you know, you're grabbing the water and the nutrients deep, you're also saving water by about 70% too. So that's why we do it. And the thing is, everybody says it's very hard to do. It is hard to do, but you know what? When you're hungry, Bob, and you can see you can increase your food by 70%, the one thing you have is time. These boys have the time and to do this, and they want to, they really get into it. So that's double digging, and it's a valuable thing. There's many times we can't do double digging. And so we'll go to other methodologies, raised beds or whatever it is. And so we're not just shut down when we don't do double digging, because we're in places, that you can't do it. So we'll just figure it out. And that's what Moses is for. Like I said, he knows that land. He's a very valuable asset to Charity Seeds. Double digging, you did it. And like I said, better you than me.
Hey, I didn't have to work out that weekend. The weekend workouts are digging and chopping and tossing compost and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Kim, this has been a thrilling conversation, just barely scratching the surface. So yeah, I will put when we in the comments, and I'll probably make a nice little video of this. I will put the URL, your website, but it's basically just charityseeds.org. And I would strongly recommend anyone watching or anyone watching live now or in the future, just go to charityseeds.org and put in $5 a month. If we have 100 people do that, that's $500. And the leverage on that $500 is just absolutely astounding. You run a lean organization, very low overhead. You really are an exemplar, Kim, of someone who I admire. Many of us go off and kind of do things that give us a more lavish lifestyle or whatever like that. You just, as long as I've known you, you focused tightly on this. You're a successful business guy. You used to do mattresses and all kinds of stuff like that. You know how to do that, but this is your passion. And it's my joy and other people's joy to throw some dollars in the pot so that you can continue to do what you do. So thank you, buddy.
Well, I thank you, Bob. And I wasn't doing this as a fundraiser, but not building big infrastructures. We're not building the schools. We don't need big equipment. We just need a simple grub hoe and knowledge and some seeds, and then we teach them how to save their seeds.
Yes. And
so that program stays sustainable. So that's why, they can make that statement of $20, their family forever, because it's true. And that will keep it going. We're not into, just like I said, we're not going to be building big infrastructures. We'll build a little greenhouse that's made out of bamboo and some plastic, but that will suffice.
We had an internet glitch, so I think we missed that first time. So basically, a $20 donation will start a cycle that will feed a family forever because they save seeds and they have knowledge.
Yes.
Wow, isn't that a mind-bending
Yeah,
thing?
they don't, the $20, see, like I said, we're not building schools or big infrastructure. Yeah, we're not buying tractors. All we need is that simple tool, that grub hoe, and some knowledge. And that will get them and make them food independent, food secure for the rest of their life with knowledge. And that's the goal, is to keep it going in that outreach program to keep spreading on their own, not with you and I, Bob. This goal is to keep that outreach program growing on their own, with maybe some government support if they need it, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the big goal. And
Okay, well, folks, what can I say? Coming to you from the Eco Barn, I decided in this beautiful topic, it would be highly appropriate for me to be at the Eco Barn, the beautiful Eco Barn here at the SLC ground. Kim has been here many times and been in this magic location. And so, okay, well, folks, we will jump off of Facebook Live now and we'll talk to you again soon.